Hello again, YouTubers. As you've seen from my last few videos, I do collect an assortment of music, many different things. And this selection of records is definitely an assortment of odds and ends, not rock music, just really odds and ends. And I picked up this book, kind of a magazine style book, or size book, at a recent antique show we had in town. And it's the Metronome yearbook for the year Jazz 1953. Now, Metronome Magazine was a competitor to Downbeat. It existed back in definitely the 40s and the 50s, and I think the editors were people like Barry Ulanoff and the famous George Simon, who was an expert on the big band era in jazz. And this is a really nice book, nice magazine size book. It's all about everything that was going on in jazz and pop, and a little bit of pop music in the year 1953. Everything from Stan Kenton. Got Nat King Cole, Souter and Finnegan, who came out of the big band era. There's Les Paul and Mary Ford, who had big hits in 1953. Tal Farlow, Paul Desmond, you know, some great jazz people. Wonderful pictures, and there's even a big discography in the back of all the jazz releases, almost all the jazz releases of the year, which is kind of a handy thing. There's an Epiphone guitar. It's Epiphone's Zephyr Emperor. That was a nice find. This is a jazz album from the 1950s. It's called Delightfully Modern. It's Chico Hamilton. This is West Coast jazz. Lorendo Almeida, guitarist. This is on a label called Jazz Tone, the Jazz Tone Society, Fifth Avenue in New York. Apparently the Jazz Tone Society would license jazz releases from other labels and send them out like a Record of the Month club or something. And this is one of their selections from the late 1950s. Members of the Glenn Miller Orchestra pay a tribute to Glenn Miller in the Miller Mood. This is on Crown Records, which was a budget label, I think out of California. Nice red vinyl. There we go. And the same for Tommy Dorsey. Crown Records. Except members of the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra, but the guest vocalist was B.B. King, which is kind of odd. But B.B. King actually sings on at least one of the tracks on this record. Would never thought... oh, it's colored vinyl too, I think. Yep, same red vinyl. You would never thought that B.B. King would sing with a big band, but there it goes. Now there was a label back in the 70s and 80s called Hindsight Records, who would release big band recordings that weren't like from radio and places like that. I think transcriptions perhaps. It's the uncollected Larry Clinton and his orchestra, vocals B. Wayne, on Hindsight Records, 1937, 1938. In the series, there were a couple hundred. There's a list of them down here. A lot of them are really excellent. I've picked up, oh, maybe 25 or 30 of these Hindsight records. Some interesting stuff. Elliot Lawrence, vocals Rosalind Patton. This is from 1946. Claude Thornhill and his orchestra with vocals Fran Warren and Gene Williams from 1947. I like Claude Thornhill. I know he recorded for Columbia as well. Dinah Washington, 1962. This is on Roulette Records. Here's a Sinatra album that I didn't have. So if I find a Sinatra I don't have, and there aren't that many I don't think I don't have. Sinatra and Bassett, a historic musical first. It's on Reprise. That would be from the early 60s, I would think. 1962. This is a German album. It's called The Javelins. Die Gross Mode, Twist Madison, Bossa Nova. I haven't played this yet. Al Capone Twist, One Note Samba, Bossa Nova. A lot of the Madison Playboys, the Bossa Nova Cats. Know nothing about this. It is stereo. When I was a kid, I used to watch Lawrence Welk a lot, you know, until the early 60s when I probably started listening to the Beatles and whatever. But My Melody of Love and Too Marvelous for Words. If you like girl groups, I guess maybe you like the Lennon Sisters. This is a cool one. It's called Tijuana Taxi, Lonely Bull and Others, the Guadalajara Brass. Look at the look on this fellow's face. It's classic. It's on Spinorama Records. Dinah Shore. It's so nice to have a man around the house. I like Dinah Shore. I've got a lot of her records. A couple of CDs too. This is originally it was a Capitol recording, and this is a Pickwick reissue though, budget line. This one came from Woolco in Canada, which was the predecessor to Walmart. Walmart came into Canada, bought up all the Woolco stores, unfortunately. 4 for $5. The Baja Marimba Band, Watch Out. This is an early A&M album. Cast Your Fate to the Wind is on this. In fact, I think it's the 18th A&M album. Al Caiola and his orchestra. Al Caiola, brilliant guitarist, and I have several of his albums. Tremendous stuff. This is called 50 Fabulous Guitar Favorites, so he must have been whipping off licks on this. I haven't played this yet. A lot of songs, 50 songs. Speaking of 50, this is the 50 Guitars Go South of the Border, Volume 2, the 50 Guitars of Tommy Garrett, featuring 50 of the world's greatest guitarists. This die-cut sleeve, this would have been recorded in Los Angeles. It's on Liberty Records. Here's one, Bucks Fizz. I think they were really popular in Britain in the 1970s, but did nothing in Canada. It says, win a mini Sprite or a day in Paris with Bucks Fizz. I think I'd take the mini Sprite, perhaps. Bucks Fizz Greatest Hits. The last one in this selection is Amanda McBroom, Lincoln, Majorca, West of Oz. Pretty lady. This is a Sheffield Lab recording, which is a direct-to-disc recording from the late 1970s. I think Amanda McBroom is most famous for the fact that she wrote, I think, The Rose, Bette Midler's big hit. And thank you again for watching, everyone.